good afternoon, Mel.
Uh,
And it'd be really great talking about your masterclass. Just tell us a bit about your masterclass and what inspired you to create it and how did you choose your topic?
yeah, sure. Thanks, Gillian. So the masterclass is actually called Digital Leadership, and it's specifically about the foundations of digital leadership. You know, those real big foundation blocks, which means that you can grow and evolve and adapt to uncertainty from there. The concept of digital leadership for me is all about identity. So it's not just a tech thing. You know, I don't want people to think that digital leadership is all about the tech. It's not at all. It's about navigating the human side as well as the digital side and bringing those two things together to enhance our work and our success. So my topic was really chosen. Well, a combination of things, really, Gillian. It was insights and I guess data that was coming from customers from Changeability Pro, the platform, and the Change community, but also from my own customer data and, of course, my own experience being in this world for over 20 years.
Yeah. How did you go about structuring it into a kind of 5 hour format whilst making sure you got both depth and engagement?
Wow. So that's a tough one, huh? Because it's an incredibly broad subject, digital leadership. It's so where do you start? What a great question. I think the biggest thing for me was to really pull it back and focus on less is more. So focusing on one or two incredibly powerful nuggets at a foundational level, which then meant that I could go deep in those. And that's important because I think, you know, that speaks to the whole concept of the masterclass, doesn't it? It's about not just the theory, it's not just about knowledge, it's actually about how do you translate intention into action? How do you take a thought into practice? And that's really kind of key for me. So it's like pulling it back, focusing on less is more.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so, how did you go about balancing the kind of theory against the practical application in your sessions?
Great one. And again, I think for me, that was quite a difficult one to navigate. And the reason for that is that so much of the content for many of the participants going through the masterclass was potentially new. So the need to talk about the what, the need to help people to understand every element before talking about how to transition it into practicality was really important. So to be fair, what I did is thinking about that and understanding the kind of the structure of the masterclass. I took a 30-70 approach. So focusing 30% on understanding the knowledge, the theory, you know, that kind of stuff. And then 70% on, right, how do we transition that into how? How do we get that into practice? What are the exercises? What are the methods? What are the tools that you can use? The practicality piece.
Yeah, excellent. It's really exciting, and I'm hoping people love it as much as I do, and that. But I'd really be interested about you and your expertise. So, what unique perspective or expertise do you bring to this topic? What sets your masterclass apart?
I think, as I kind of mentioned, I probably mentioned it at the start. So many of us have been taught to understand, taught to appreciate, taught to take digital leadership and digital literacy to mean only technology. And it's not. So, you know, as I mentioned at the start, for me, digital leadership is about an identity. It's not about skill. It's about so much more than technology. So, for the last 20 years, my focus has really been focusing on how can we become more human in the workplace and really thrive in our uniqueness and our strengths, but do that by leveraging the digital and the technology in order to open the space to do that. And also the third bit that triangulates with the human aspect and the digital technology aspect is change and transformation. And for me, really more about transformation. And how do we take change and transformation away from thinking about it as a noun, which is an end game, and making it more of a verb. So instead of digital transformation, it's about how do we become digitally transforming. So really for me, as a strange mixture of futurist and mental and transformation consultant, I think that's the uniqueness of those three things.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you put this masterclass together and you started you doing some preparing based on your knowledge, a bit of research, what were the key lessons or insights that you gained?
Yeah. I think for me, I am constantly surprised at how effective small, consistent shifts and commitments can be for anyone, regardless of who we are, what level of the business is, how complicated our role is, or whatever, how powerful consistent small action is. In and of itself, one tiny little thing, one tiny little action, one tiny little shift might not mean anything. But if you're able to add consistency, practice to small shifts, wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of moving me into my next kind of topic area about audience impact. So, what kind of impact do you hope that your masterclass will have on the participants?
I love that question. I love it. Um, do you know, I just want to blow that myth first and foremost of digital is about just the tech, right? So if we can kind of move that off the table at the beginning, that's one key thing for me. That's a big, big message. But beyond that, in terms of the real content of the masterclass itself, I think being able to help people reduce maybe anxiety and fear around the future and the unknown and the implications of things like AI, to build confidence. And also, I think something really important for me, Gillian, as well, as part of the impact of this masterclass, is to signal that the relevance of digital leadership for everybody, not just for somebody that's got the title leader in their job, but it's the inclusivity aspect of it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm kind of interested. Have you received any kind of surprising or memorable feedback from your audience?
Um, Yeah, I have. And it's interesting because with some of the tools that I've included in the masterclass, some of the basic tooling has been about assessing. It's been about, find out where you are now in order for you to better kind of, design your learning pathway and your change in practice moving forward. And some of those simple tools, the feedback that I've got back from people, which is, gosh, I placed assumption on where I was at, but actually going through the tools and the rigor of the assessment of where am I actually now has, there's a differential between the two, and it's really been enlightening and opened up some great things for people. So I think that's one thing in terms of feedback that I've really, it's really resonated with me.
Yeah, yeah, excellent. So, if somebody who's taken this masterclass could take one thing away from it, what would that be? What would you want it to be?
Oh, Gillian, I have to go back to that question that you asked me earlier on. It's that learning is not just about knowledge. Learning is about the evidence of that knowledge in practice. And therefore, it's about small, consistent commitments. And that digital leadership is for all of us. So you asked me one. I gave you two. I'm really sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. Absolutely fine. I'm going to look ahead now. So, what kind of trends or emerging topics in your field that are you most excited about now?
Um, uh, there's a few things. I think, obviously, talking about my subject, digital leadership, it would be remiss of me not to include artificial intelligence. But it's not. I think what I'm excited about with artificial intelligence is not just the maturity of artificial intelligence in and of itself. It is the potential that is generated when artificial intelligence connects with other things, connects with other technologies. And as a futurist, I'm super excited about what's coming around the corner as well, is when AI connects with quantum, what does that mean for us all? So I think that's something really important to me. There is also the element of the generational shift that's happening. And we are, most of our organizations probably, a year to 18 months away from that generation alpha starting to come into the workforce. And what does that mean for change? What does it mean for the future? What does it mean for the future workforce planning? And I think yeah, that's going to be amazing. And I'm really excited to see how that pans out.
Yeah, and as the workforce changes and things start to happen, you might want to create some more masterclasses. So, what are your future plans, maybe for masterclasses or other educational content that you were thinking of creating?
Yeah. Oh, fab question. And I'm actually in the process of thinking about that right now at the time of year. A few things for me. I think that the ability to understand the potential of AI connectivity is a really big thing for me. So, and also the concept of what does an AI mindset mean for us? And I mean, how should we think around AI? So really helping people not to fear it and to help them to engage with it. So the AI piece is really big for me. There's also something for me as well around, and it's something that came out of the masterclass kind of, feedback as well, which is this concept of fitness. If we think about growth and our development in this AI-enabled world through the lens of fitness, then we naturally think about practice. You don't exercise a muscle for no reason whatsoever. More often than not, you exercise a muscle because you want to achieve a goal and you need to put that exercise into practice. You don't just think the exercise. So there's something around fitness for me. And then I guess finally, not so much for me the well-being element, but mental fitness and also tapping into the world of attention management and flow. There's so much going on. There's so much distraction. There's so much white no noise. There's so much complexity out there, for any knowledge worker, regardless of, what their situation and their environment is. I think being able to help people to declutter mentally and also kind of, environmentally around them and to think about attention management and flow is probably another place that I'll be going.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you're talking about the kind of future of ways of people working. How do you see the online learning evolving, and how do masterclasses fit in with this kind of concept of online learning?
Yeah, another good question. I come back to that word practice. I think we all know now that knowledge is, it's just at the tip of your fingers. It's just, type it in. As long as your prompt's correct, you're going to get the knowledge back. That's something that's almost instantaneous in real time for us now. But how we shift into practice, that's the gnarly, right? That's the thing that we've got to get better at. And the concept of masterclassing for me helps with that immensely because it really is about knowledge into practice. It's about bringing experience of practice to the table, not just the theory to the table. So I think for me, the concept of, development for any knowledge worker has got to be it's not about what you know, it's about how you put what you know into practice so that you can be better and better and better.
Excellent. That's great. Well, thank you for talking to me this afternoon. That's really helpful.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thanks, Gillian. Thanks for asking me.